Look, bro, I get it. Quitting weed is super hard. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but it's also one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And I really wish someone had made a video just like this when I was going through it, because I wasted 7 years of my life trapped in a cycle that I couldn't break out of. Sometimes I would even stop for months at a time, but it just kept pulling me back in. And it seemed that there was no end in sight. No matter how much agony it caused me, no matter how many times I promised myself, yeah, this is the last smoke and then I'm done for good, it just kept happening. It felt like I'd lost all control. It literally felt like I was a slave to this little green plant. I was essentially cucked by marijuana. Let me tell you how I broke free. Step 0 was for me to dismantle all of the copes that I was telling myself, the lies I kept on spinning, the justifications to keep on doing this habit. And these are very similar to what you're probably telling yourself as well. So let me just nip them in the bud once and for all. Number 1, it makes me creative. No, brother, it makes you delusional. All of these funky ideas that you have when you're stoned and you write down on a piece of paper thinking, yeah, this is the trick. This is what's going to get me to my goals. Bro, they're retarded. I'll be honest with you. They're stupid ideas that are completely unvalidated, not based on any real data, just the fantasies of a stoned imbecile. And let's say you do come up with a good idea. It sometimes happens. I must ask you, what good is an idea without execution? No good at all. It's literally just daydreaming. You're living in La La Land, fantasizing about one day, but weed makes you completely useless at bringing those ideas into reality. So I ask you, what's the point? Second cope that you might be thinking, oh, but it helps me relax. It takes away my anxiety. It's a nice little wind down at the end of a hard working day. Brother, you're lying to yourself again, because there are much better ways to relax and wind down. Ways that don't actually murder your brain cells. Ways that actually do refresh and recharge you. Taking walks in nature without headphones. Meditating. Sitting in the sauna. You might be doing these things anyway, but while stoned, thinking, oh yeah, it's fine because I'm being healthy, right? It's okay that I'm smoking weed because I wouldn't do these habits unless I was smoking weed, so that makes it okay. Bro, what is this logic? Just do the freaking habits without being stoned. I promise you. It can be so much more fulfilling, so much more pleasurable when you're not baked. You're starting to convince yourself that life without weed is going to be this like boring, bland thing, but I promise you, bro, it can be more vibrant than you can imagine. Because you still think there's some kind of benefit. You think it's adding something to your life. I promise you, it's doing nothing but destroy. It's stealing so much more than you can possibly imagine. Your drive, your ambition, your relentless pursuit of the goals that you keep on fantasizing about, they will only become a reality once you drop that filthy habit. Because what you're doing right now is you're escaping into some alternate reality in your mind that is very comfortable. It makes you okay with where you're at. It makes you tolerate the situation you're in when in the back of your mind, you know you're capable of so much more. Every single time you smoke, you're stifling that voice. You chill out. You just kick back because it's okay. There's no real pressure, there's no urgency. Weed steals your ability and your drive to move with speed. And I can say from my experience that weed at some point was so embedded into my identity that I made it like my personality. Like, yeah, I'm just that stoned guy. I'm this stoned, goofy, funny guy. But I was still convincing myself that it added something to my character. It made me more humorous, more fun to be around. Let me cut the shit right now. It doesn't make you more fun. It doesn't make you more entertaining. It makes you a complete dullard, a retarded mess who nobody takes seriously. It doesn't make you funnier or cooler, because I've had quite a few times in the past year after I stopped smoking where I've met with friends. It was a good day. We did some fun shit. We went to the gym. We played some sport. We had a good conversation. And then they decided to smoke some weed. I did not partake with them, but I immediately felt their energy drop. They just became a lot less enjoyable to be around. It completely destroys your frequency. And life is a game of maximizing your frequency. The next cope you might be thinking is, oh, but Snoop Dogg does it, but this other successful person does it, and look at their life. Bro, this is retarded beyond belief. If you were capable of achieving the success you wanted while stoned to the bone, you would have already done so. And I have something you may not have heard of. It's a concept called the outlier statistic. This is not the rule, this is the exception. I can guarantee that anyone you might name who got successful while being stoned would have reached levels above that had they not had the weed in their life. Obviously, the exception is when weed is part of their marketing. Weed is part of their brand. In that case, man, they've sort of trapped themselves and they're in this vicious cycle of hell where they have to do it in order to keep maintaining what they've built. Bro, don't let that be you. You don't want to have that image, man. Nobody will take you seriously. Nobody who matters will look at you and think, yeah, this guy's the G. Next, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, but I can be a functional stoner. I can do everything that needs to be done. You know, I can be a productive high performer during the day, and then at night I'll smoke and chill out and it's absolutely fine. Really? Those last few hours at the end of the day, they could be used to further your growth. They could be used to make you even more of a unit, of a functional man, a high performer, if you want to call yourself that. You can engage in habits that will enhance your life. You can expand your knowledge. You can grow your skill set. But what do? You smoke some weed and you retreat into comfort. You probably play some video games. You might watch some Netflix. You might even turn on some educational YouTube videos because you think you're being productive, but you're just entertaining yourself, bro. You stuff your face with junk that you normally wouldn't eat throughout the day because, you know, you're a healthy high performer, right? And all of this ends up in you waking the next day and you're functionally retarded. You have this massive brain fog that wouldn't have happened had you just stayed sober the last part of the day and done the good habits instead. Lastly, you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, I know I need to stop, but I don't think I can quit forever, because you're still convincing yourself that it's adding something to your life. You're romanticizing it. You're thinking, oh, yeah, but it's fun though. Bro, do you not feel like a little bitch? You are enslaved by this substance, and it's holding you hostage using every single sales, marketing, manipulation tactic in the book. You've been bamboozled by a freaking inanimate object, a green little plant. Does that not make you feel pathetic? Hopefully by this point, I've dismantled some of the excuses you've been telling yourself. Now, you're a little more open to snuffing it out for good. Maybe I've convinced you, yeah, okay, it's time. But how do I actually do it? Because I just can't seem to stop. Well, bro, that was me last year. I was going through a phase where I had goals. I was trying to make progress towards them, and I could just feel how much weed was stealing from me. So I really wanted to stop, but I just couldn't. I would go days, sometimes even a week or two without smoking. I felt like, yeah, okay, finally I've beat this, but it would just pull me back in because I had no control over my impulses. I had a random thought that, oh, it would be cool to get stoned, and instead of just cutting it at the source, I let it develop. The only thing that actually helped me quit for good was an identity shift. An identity shift that allowed me to step into the version of myself that found weed intolerable. And I achieved this identity shift by completely changing environment. I moved out of my parents' home and I moved in with my friend Dan, who was sober. He was a man, he is a man of God. So I thought I'll be a lot less likely to, give in to these vices when I have him as constant inspiration, because he also used to be a terrible stoner, like way worse than I was. So I thought living with him will help me fix myself. But the very first night that I moved in, I was presented with the ultimate test. The test that would cement my identity. I had got home after a long day of moving my stuff back and forth, and it was evening. A certain young lad was at the house. He was a relative, and he was still a teenage stoner degenerate. So he was, rolling up a spliff. He was smoking it in the garden, and he was trying to convince me to come and join him. Again, there was this back and forth debate in my head. Yeah, one last time. Oh, just one send off. It wouldn't be that bad if I just stopped tomorrow. But I knew that this was a make or break moment. And if I said no, this would solidify the identity that I'm trying to embody. So I said no. I watched him smoke from the garden. He was literally taunting me with it. He was standing there like, come, it'll be so fun. And I just said no. It was so difficult. All I wanted to do was just come and get high one last time. But because I resisted just this one time, I solidified my identity. And ever since then, I've been living a sober life. And it's been incredible. Although this one vice, this addiction that was holding me back, dropping it was just the start of the start. To be honest with you, it was even the start before the start, because I had an absolute mountain to climb of personal development, and to be honest with you, I still had a lot of bad habits, thoughts, and beliefs. I was still acting like a bit of a degenerate loser, but that's not the point of this video. I've already made videos about, what I did after that point and how I broke free of that phase of my life. But that was how I stopped. It all comes back to identity. You have to create such a large gap between who you are now and the man you want to become that your old habits should repulse you. It's not enough to feel guilt and shame, because guilt and shame are comfortable. They allow you to feel sorry for yourself. They keep you a victim. No, you must feel physically repulsed by these habits before you quit. And you only do that by building a massive gap between who you are now and the version you want to become. The best way to do that is through exposure. You have to get around people who you want to be like. If you're way too low status right now, where those people want nothing to do with you, the best thing you can do is get into an online community. You can watch, content of guys who you're inspired by, or you can just, charm and finesse your way into getting friends with higher level people. It's possible. It's completely possible. I've done it loads of times where I felt like I got close to high level guys who were way out of my league. But again, that's not the topic of this video. But bro, I truly hope this will help you quit the habit for good.